Okay. This is the regular meeting of the North Whitby Pool Park and Recreation District Board of Commissioners. I am calling this meeting to order at 6:01 p.m. Roll call. Commissioner Prayer, present. Commissioner Guy.
Present.
Commissioner Whitmer, present. Commissioner Larson, not going to be in attendance, and Commissioner Hartman will be late, but we do have forms so we can continue. Does anyone have anything to add to the agenda?
I would like to remove from I would like to add minutes 6/5/24 and 6/27/24 to new business for 10C and 10D.
Motion?
Motion to approve. Make the motion to approve the change to the agenda to add the 6/5/24 minutes as item 10C and 6/27/24 minutes as 10D.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Yes. Anything else to add to the agenda? The Board of Commissioners welcomes public input on items listed on the agenda, policies, and/or issues affecting our district. The Board of Commissioners takes this time to listen and consider, but not to comment. Anyone who wishes to comment, please let us know. Please state your name and keep your comments to 3 minutes. Thank you. Consent agenda announcement. Right. The consent agenda is designed to assist in making the meeting shorter and more efficient. Items left on the consent agenda may not be discussed when the consent agenda comes before the Board of Commissioners. Does any commissioner request removal of a consent agenda item? Yes.
Remove 6A minutes without date.
Approval item 6 and minutes without a date.
All in favor of removing item 6A from the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Approval of consent agenda.
A second.
Motion on the floor is to approve the consent agenda as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Moving on to staff reports.
I do have a couple updates for you. we did send an email to, after I had received the Alexis Freddie update about the Clover Valley Park and the National Park Service. There's somebody in her office that actually decided to take it over and said, yeah, that's not really what we're going to do. This is what I think you should do. I passed that information on to our attorney, who then crafted the letter that he was, or crafted the response he was looking for, sent that off to him. Have not heard back yet, but mainly that could be due to the fact that when I responded back to it, when I hit reply all, it only copied Alexis Freddie in it. I thought I hit reply all, maybe I didn't, but and it didn't go back to that gentleman. So she responded with a thumbs up, but must not have realized I didn't copy him in either. So I have since forwarded it on and said, here's our response, and we'll update you if I get that information.
Anything else?
We are going to do a lifeguard appreciation on July 31st. And we're actually going to invite all the staff to it. It's just staff, no families. And we're going to do a potluck, and it's going to be an after-hour event.
Sounds good. Do we have anything from the maintenance director or the business manager?
Oh, you have in front of you, Commissioner Crainer, Jay's reconciliation for her credit card statement that was not included in the packet.
If you could just, we thought you could just pass it around for the commissioners to see rather than making another copy. I think it's on one of the loose sheets for you.
I do want to just really briefly touch base on the vendor booths over 4th of July. I think we all know that those did not go as anticipated. I still feel, and so does other staff I have chatted with, that we did have maybe better interactions because it was quieter. So I think there was still great value in that for us. And moving forward, we have a couple of Oak Harbor School District back to school events that will further those opportunities.
We also just today scheduled the open house for the district for October 4th. It's a Friday evening. We're going to be looking for a sponsor for that, for it to be a free swim event for that evening. And our goal and hope, trying to capture their ears for a moment, is to do a balloon drop, like a red, white, and blue balloon drop. And we didn't do it. We were trying to time it for the week, like close to when the ballots are released. The Friday before that was Yom Kippur though, so I wanted to stay away because I know that's a celebration for one community, and they don't typically join in outside events. So that's why we picked October.
Just as a quick comment, appreciate that. Very thoughtful of our community. Good job. Moving on to video. We've got for program training.
The only update from the swim crew pricing is there is no update.
I was about to add that same thing.
There's no update. It'll be revisited in August. That's fine. We have a little bit of time to play that one.
Right now, the agenda for that program committee, that we have swim lessons, Halloween 5K with Couch to 5K because High Eye was canceled. The High Eye run was canceled. They did it, not us. High Eye also has a request that they would like the program committee and the board to consider.
Okay.
I feel like there was one more. Oh, to review the master's program and Saturday morning aerobics. So if there's something else that the commissioners want that are on that committee to add to us, just email us.
Yep. All right. Get into it. Levy committee, levy rate discussion.
Okay, so, you do have on, in front of you, when I had talked to Britt, I think it was like a week and a half ago. She said to get you guys what I could as quick as I could, so there was some, Julie was on vacation at the end of that week, and so there were some numbers that I, couldn't finish before the packet went out. And so I have, included those, and they're highlighted in yellow in front of you. And so this was based on kind of the plan that we've been talking about since I got here. And one of them that's not in the written part was the addition of offices. So you will see that on the back page, because we're already grown out of our space. So like my rec coordinator mainly works at home, which is what our system is set up for. But the idea was to turn either the viewing room next to me into offices, and then the other deck into the viewing room, or keep the room next to us as viewing room and turn that deck into offices. So it's not necessarily something we have to do, but when we were talking about what we were going to do in the next levy cycle, that was a discussion. We'd already applied for a grant for that. We didn't get it, the DSEP. But if we are going to grow like we want to grow, the one thing I didn't include in here right now is a marketing person, because right now our front desk coordinator, our client service coordinator, is handling that function. So hopefully she'll be, she thought she'd be with us for at least the next 3 years. We're hoping longer. So I did not include that. But so some full-time positions, we can't, it's difficult to run a pool for as long as we do with just high schoolers. We have very few adult lifeguards. So if there's any questions, I included all of that kind of information. And then the reserve goal, I did send I have written a policy after a lot of research and talking with other districts, and Wanda Grown, who used to be the Island County treasurer, she now works for Langley. I've sent off to her what I would be proposing, but part of that was direction from the last board to have at least 4 months of operating. And we calculated that at our highest operating, which I think was 128,000 this year. If you take out the January month that we paid insurance, because we paid insurance in one big lump sum. So obviously that was like over 200,000 that month. But so we based it on the 128,000. Monthly. Or no, yes, monthly. Sorry. I didn't think about it. I've been crunching all that.
Dang,
Your numbers are much
Wow.
bigger, I'm sorry.
they're your numbers.
I go ahead and open the floor for discussion.
Is it open? I have a question. Actually, I have lots of questions. I have lots of questions. Let's just start with this one. Does the levy committee have a recommendation right now of a number?
My thought process was hit maybe around 17 cents.
Okay.
Go a little lower than what we expected before, but also would be a significant increase from what we're getting now. I think that would show a good faith effort to the community that we're really not here to tax the daylight out.
I guess my next question is for the staff. What do you see as other income over the next 6 years other than property tax levies? Do you expect to keep the same revenue streams, maybe increase those, decrease those? They've kind of fluctuated over the last 6 years. obviously 21, 20 were bad years. I get that. But it's been 377,000, it's been 611,000, it's been 559,000. So in your opinion, where are we going with revenue that's being brought in other than tax levies?
Are the grants included in that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, at the mercy of the legislature, I guess, some of those fluctuations.
So we hope to get $300,000 from the state. I hope to get a US swimming grant 1 year for swim lessons that we plan to apply for. I hope to get a USDA loan to build the additional offices. So that would be an influx, but then we'll pay anywhere from a 2 to 3% rate return for, I know you know, but a USDA rural loan is a governmental loan that we can get to keep interest rates really low for local governments. So I would think that we could probably get something around 900,000 for that. It was something we looked at for our other projects like the roof project and the heater, but we were able to fund those without the USDA grant, and we wanted to save the USDA grant as a last resort. We hope to get Clover Valley grants from RCO, Recreation Conservation, and then more programming grants as the rec department grows.
Okay.
So we hope to get somebody doing arts and crafts on a regular basis, and then other types of recreation that isn't sport related. We thought we would start with sports in this round cycle, and if we could branch into arts and crafts, but with the inability to keep a recreation superintendent, that's been difficult to keep going towards that path.
So the final number here, is this the wish list or is this the operating list?
Well, so we calculated it what we thought could be conservative, although the consumer price index might continue to fall. So that was all calculated at the average of 4%, I think.
Sure.
But historically, before the pandemic, it was between 1% and 3%. So we might see some savings there. The wish list, it's not so really much a wish list as it's a typical operating list. So when they hired me, it was with the understanding or with the idea, we know that we don't have what you need to do what you need to do,
Right.
but can you make do until the next levy? So I mean, additional offices, we could still work from home. It just takes staff out of the building, which, then lessens your connection. So, but if we did that by a loan anyways, that would be minimal to us. Would you like to talk about the maintenance as you wish versus, because you were there.
Yeah, we'd love to chat about the capital improvements. I mean, so on that list there, there's $1.5 million of between JVMP and CVP. There's $1.5 million that will be doing that levy cycle, and that's best case scenario. I mean, that's stretching everything to the end of its useful life. Sometimes things.
So it needs to probably be more.
Sometimes prematurely expire. The other thing is, I mean, we've seen inflation that has been, higher than we could imagine. What trend is going to continue? I mean, if you look at the GDP and stuff, you think maybe it's just going to continue going up pretty quick. But so that's at least $1.5 million on there, and that's just stuff we know that's going to break because of the environment and the chloramines in the air and just the harsh environment.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff in the building's on about a 12-year replacement cycle at the most. A lot of commercial heaters and stuff that you would see 20 years out of in a doctor's office, it's stretching it to get 12 years in that environment. So there's a lot of that stuff, and just, going out to the end of the levy cycle, knowing what wages are going to be in 2032. I mean, look right now, I'm paying my custodian in the $18 an hour neighborhood, and I've had that position open, trying to fill a position for a long time,
Right.
and I can't get any out of it. If you do a simple search on Indeed and you figure out why. Other places, they're 23, 24 bucks an hour with night and weekend differential, and it's like, we're so far from keeping pace already, and knowing that we don't have any fully benefited staff. I mean, Jay kind of alluded to when she was brought on, and I know when the board talked me into coming to work here as well, it was in the next levy cycle, we'll work to get a medical, we'll work to get retirement. So we're so far from doing what we probably need to do to operate already. And knowing that those benefits in that levy cycle, those benefits are probably going up 5 to 10% a year. It's frightening how far we are from keeping pace right now.
I agree.
And I see a lot of frustrated staff because they want to be full-time and they're not. They love the place, but they're applying for jobs at NWR, et cetera, because it's more money. And you can't talk to people about it, and they have to do what's best for their family, but it gets draining and stressful seeing people drop one after another.
I had a staff in my office today who's upset and who I think can be a really good pool manager, but she doesn't want to take that on because the job has been so enormous for the last few years that she doesn't think that anybody can really do it. And when I talked about how we're separating that out and that pool manager would report to a rec superintendent, she then was like, oh, okay, because that's typically how that runs. But the idea of taking it over as it currently would be is overwhelming. And she doesn't want to do that. And so to even succession plan right now, right, is difficult. So I wouldn't say this is a wish list. I would say, like, if we're going to continue to do this and grow, this is a need list.
So, I won't ask a whole lot of questions about at least telling you what I did first. So when I looked at the packet, I saw the $1.5 million, and I threw all that in there. Then I took the numbers that we've already been operating on, which doesn't include the growth. I recognize that. I added inflation to it. I estimated inflation between 4 and 5% over the next year, or year to year, for the next 6 years. I took the conservative approach on assessed value, basically saying that we're going to raise our assessed value maybe 4% a year, which is incredibly conservative because we've done 20 and 10% for the last couple of years. To get us to an 18 cent per thousand number, that leaves us a levy amount. I'm sorry, not a levy amount, a total budget amount of $12,000. So we're about 12 million. We're about 5 million off on that at the 18 number. And that's why I asked those questions about, is this operating or is this, I'll tell you the calculation I use is $550,000 coming in other than a year. So that includes the capital investment of $250,000 a year for the total of $1.5 million. Now, if I take that same formula and I put in these numbers to get to the 17 million, our levy amount becomes 30 cents per thousand. So there's got to be some more money coming from somewhere. I agree that everything that you're saying is where we need to head, but there has to be money coming from somewhere else. And we are not going to pass a 60% levy or a 60% vote on a 30-cent levy. So those are the nature of the questions. I'll turn it over to anybody else that wants to speak.
I agree. I run all this physical analysis, but one big thing that I think would benefit the district in focusing on is we do need to make sure that the programs that we are running are operating on a profit. We just have to grow. I understand, we want to keep costs down for our users. That's huge. That's a huge goal for us. But we also have to keep our doors open. So we also have to be putting in the work to meet the levy. So we've got the business side, we've got the levy. We have to kind of just start steering it all in the same direction. just to.
Please.
2017, while I was on the board, we were in a similar place, and I think the levy rate was 18 cents per thousand. And we went out for a levy request that was 17 cents per thousand, thinking that showing a decrease would give us traction. That levy ended up falling by 99 votes. Nothing happens in the back. Once the poll was closed, there was more of an effort to reopen it. But some of what was key to passing that was going from 18 to 20 and telling the community, hey, we're going to add this and this and this. And we've added those things, the water slide was the last piece, but some of the expanded programming that was outside of the pool. So we did what we said there, but the decreasing by a little bit didn't seem to get us traction. By talking about them getting something more, they were excited and they voted for it. So I'm not saying you should increase to 20, but maybe there's a way to stay at 20. I don't know.
Yeah, but I think the hardest part is that at this point in time, folks that are using the pool have seen, all of the capital improvements.
Yeah.
So what we're asking for now is more things on the back end. Paying our staff more, getting raise benefits, which are all appropriate things, right? Because that's, the argument there is that we'll get sustainable programming for, pool parks and rec. We'll be able to pay our staff and employees what, the market rate is and what they're worth, right? And keep them, right? And have that stability built into that environment, right? But I feel like that's a harder sell when asking for more, even though it's a reasonable ask, right? So that's kind of what I'm struggling with. Asking for the increase, I think is appropriate.
We're not asking for the increase though. 20% or 20 cents is what our statutory limit came from, was the 20 cents per SIP. So in order to not go over that statutory, they have to drop the rate because of inflation.
Mm-hmm.
So say that inflation didn't happen, the calculation rate would be 20 cents. Would it not still be if there was no inflation from the day that we
No,
passed?
nothing has changed. It was still 20 cents.
It was, so we're not asking to increase, we're just asking to maintain the same.
But we're not though. When it comes down to the taxes that are collected, our rate right now is 13.72. So we're actually taking it from 13.72 up to 20. Yes, we were at 20. That was our statutory max. That's what we collected in 2019. Since then, the values have gone up significantly. So where somebody's property value was $250,000, it's now $500,000. So if we increase it back to 20, now they're taxed not on $250,000, they're now back on $500,000. So it's like double. We're not double, but it was probably closer to 350,000 at the time, based on where we're at right now. But it's taking it from 350 to 500,000. And so that difference in the amount that we collect, which I'm not saying we don't need, because I think we do need it, but there is definitely a sell there to our taxpayers and residents that it's a hard sell.
And people are already watching the assessed value. That's only a hot topic. So when we're talking about people already understand and know that this tax rate is going to be higher than what they've seen in the past, based on the fact that their assessed value is higher than what they've seen. And that, I think, is the barrier. That is the sell. So even saying that we're going to keep the rate the same.
That's where our con statement is going to come in and tear us apart.
So
Because
I think
they're going to see right through that.
as a board and as staff members, but mainly as a board, we just have to be cognizant of the fact that that's going to be the con and have to figure out how we're going to work around that. So, yeah.
I agree with you with the 17, but I don't think we're going to make it. I think we have to do something more than that. And I begrudgingly say that because that was not my intent.
All of your understanding.
My recommendation was 17% until I walked in today and started looking at numbers. or not 17%, 17 cents. But,
I know, you think
I know, it's hard.
percent of dollar.
Yeah, at this moment, I cannot justify 30, but I think that the sell is there, you have to go to 20. I don't like it, but we have to keep the facility open, we have to keep it competitive, and we have to keep improving.
Yeah.
We can't let it deteriorate. And maybe another opportunity presents itself for grants that helps us out with those improvements.
Well, we have to decide. Because if we don't, then we don't make the deal.
I mean, I'm interested in what you guys think also.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you. I honestly think the 20 is gonna be, so I think that the number 17, staying, asking for the same thing, understanding that it's gonna go up, but then also like that we already have to sell like 17, even though the same number, it's gonna increase what people are paying. Yeah.
I think I'm on the fence. But I think that if we decide to go with 20 and we hit it head on, we're transparent, here's the breakdown, here's the increase in the OC, here's why it's an increase, even though it stays the same as the last levy. If we have the public understanding where that increase came from, I think we could get it.
Well, currently, the public is understanding when you are. But like how David has said before, they're not really understanding what we're actually, the true value. So it's just informing the community what exactly is money.
Another aspect of this is if it doesn't pass, we close. The facility closes and everybody's not working anyways. So
They're,
something is better than
ideally, they're
nothing.
working, but they're not going to be working for us.
Something is better than nothing.
Yeah.
But the 20 is easier. I mean, it seems like a difficult conversation, but at the same time, the general public understands it. So the regular, everyday person might not understand what should be. It might be easier to sell. But again, still be transparent. And also our.
Well, I would say the inflation is one key note that is not the same as it was in 2018. We're not at the same area that we were in 2018 when there's been a significant inflation bump. It averages 5% over the last 6 years. So
But asking for 20, will that be sufficient?
it doesn't cover this.
Not, and that's not including any anticipated grants.
Right.
And it sounds like we do have quite a bit of grant and loans and offset costs.
Right, if programs pay for themselves, would that include? So this is just expenses, this does not include revenue. So, yes, if programs make money, it'll just add to less expense going out the window in terms of from the taxpayer side of it.
Just running the
Which-
facility is massive.
Right.
That's not what we're getting the revenue.
Right.
Those programs are helping, but just the massive. I mean, he just mentioned $1.5 million just for like filters and motors and stuff.
Right.
Routine maintenance.
Just
Yeah.
routine maintenance.
Yeah. Well, and the amount that you spend for staffing and maintenance and operating costs are.
Yeah, I think if people forget, I think a lot of the public, and that's where something like an open house comes in, I think a lot of the public forgets that it is a highly technical 22,000 square foot building.
Right.
Which requires highly skilled staff,
Yeah,
which requires
That we
them
need
to
to
be
retain.
paid appropriately.
swimming pool dollars or something, the equivalent of boat dollars. I mean, there's usually one or two manufacturers for most equipment in there.
I mean, before we had senior lifeguards, because that position was only approved last year, before we had senior lifeguards, we were working weekends. I mean, so when I say that, not that any of us are afraid of work, but I know that all the staff are tired because I just had a meeting last night with my lifeguards and and I know my head lifeguard is tired because she doesn't have a supervisor before me, right? Everybody is tired because we know what's coming up. And so everyone's already nervous, right? My head lifeguard was part of the last close down. So she's had to help us build the staff back up. So I definitely understand, and I think we all understand what you guys are under with the decision that you make. And I think that a selling point here is for people will remember what the pool looked like and what it looks like now.
Yeah.
And that maintenance needs to continue.
Yeah.
Totally agree with you. We just don't want it to close.
Yeah. Yeah.
One point that I kind of left out, on purpose, but maybe it's the saving grace here. I did mention that I took the conservative approach on assessed value. What I did not consider in the assessed value is I never considered any new construction. We have 3 major subdivisions going in right now, which was going to be a ton of new construction dollars. Also, there is a bill in the legislature to begin taxing military housing, which is going to be a massive influx of new construction dollars one time. So there is a possibility that although we will still be at our stat max, we will probably still begin to gain a little bit more. We may be able to maintain our stat max as the assessed value goes up. So we still don't get to go over the 1% budget amount, but and that leads me to take the more conservative approach on the number, because I know we do have some new construction dollars coming in our district. That's going to help us out a lot. And there's a 3rd subdivision or 4th subdivision that's in planning.
So can I ask a side question?
Sure.
Is that tax for military housing, is that only on new construction of military
It's
housing?
not new construction. It'll show up as new construction dollars one time. So when the assessment picks up those structures, not the land, but the structures that live on them, if the legislature passes it, let's start with that. Then the assessor will bring in that new construction money, and we will actually be charged to, in this case, funds. Once the structures, they will have to now begin paying taxes on it. So those new construction dollars go on top of our 1%.
So they're not taxing.
It's not taxing the rest of the community anymore. It's all the new construction dollars goes on top of what is everybody else is already being paid. It doesn't affect everybody else's.
Right.
It doesn't affect everybody else's taxes. New construction is good for the districts because an influx above the 1% or not levy.
Well, and so that you're aware, the salary increases are very conservative that I did on here. Because I was trained in the YMCA, I've always tend to be more conservative. So I'm literally for the full-time staff just at salary thresholds.
Which we do have to. Okay, so you did. Okay, because I know that there's a big jump going into 2026.
And we did the cost of living based on what we've seen already come out for lifeguards, but for all the part-time staff. So we did that all based on how we typically do that, which is taking into account what that would be next year for the next 6 years.
And the next interesting thing with the new construction, and then it becomes a conversation between the city and the county, but with the state's requirement to get, a certain percentage of the housing at 30% of the AMI or 50% of the AMI. The city of Oak Harbor would like to do multi-family tax exemptions. But then who ends up owing that money? That's the conversation between the city and the county. So it's wild to see how it all shakes out.
Yeah.
It's a lot of moving pieces right now. A lot of moving pieces. A lot of moving pieces.
We gotta have a side meeting aside from this meeting.
Good luck. Good luck.
Okay, I'll stop that one.
You're handy.
They didn't come here to sit on my butt.
Alright.
We will have to have a short meeting after you guys make the decision to approve the resolution to then take it to the county, but we can do that, I would assume online with me being in here.
What, Julie, the original resolution, what rate did I put in?
I think you left it at 25.
Yeah.
I think so.
Everyone's put on the floor?
That'd be a special meeting, do we need to make a special meeting for that, or do we do it now, or?
I think we're deciding on a number right now, and we're gonna special meeting just to do the resolution.
Do you need a motion?
So the plan was, we could actually make a motion here after we decide to modify resolution 2402, the rate that's in there. And then that could actually go to the county.
And we need everybody to stop by and sign it. But yeah, if you want to make that motion, or somebody make that motion.
Start with one.
Does anybody else have anything to say?
Did you have?
The last we spoke about, the 17 cents. He was in favor of that rate. But further, I couldn't speak on. He also didn't have the paperwork.
After all this,
Money and educate.
it was not there last night.
I think that's funny. Just think that it's more exactly what we're at right now, and if we decide to move forward.
Well, then I will make a motion to amend resolution 2402 to remove the 25 cents per thousand and change it to 20 cents per thousand.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Who seconded?
I-
Can I reread it to you? To amend resolution 24-02,
2024-02.
2024-2, to remove 25 cents per 1,000 assessed value and replace with 20 cents per 1,000 assessed value.
Yes.
Thank you.
Budget committee, Jay.
I need.
Yes. We need to set a date for a budget committee meeting.
Committee or
Committee.
Just to confirm, obviously, has been.
That is my understanding.
When. Required to be. And found to be.
It doesn't matter.
That's nice. That's very nice of you to think about.
Yes, I appreciate that.
It's just easier.
She does Tuesday. Oh, yeah. Did you two switch?
I told Shane that I could cover his Thursdays for the next little while until day camp is over, after tonight.
So
So
Thursdays for the rest of the next 3 weeks.
I have cheer practice.
What the other day then?
it really doesn't matter as long as I know in advance. That should be okay.
What time?
Whatever works for you guys, I'm good with. Perfect.
Oh my gosh. I did not realize that that did not fit very well.
On to finish business. Working on would be funding tiers.
I apologize. I did not realize that it didn't fit well, so I'm gonna try and pull it up here. And I will pass my laptop around if that works.
Share it to the screen. and we can-
I'm not, that's a different computer than this.
And you're not in-
Yeah,
You
come
told me
on,
that was
me.
part of the thing.
Yeah, it showed up in the packet, like it printed nicely. Wait, what was yours? Oh,
Yeah.
yours printed, see,
Yes,
it
yes, it looks nice.
did not print very well.
Oh,
Oh,
you're good, thank you.
I apologize, I'm wrong.
You just selfishly kept the wonky one for
Yeah.
yourself.
I would recommend not making any decision on this until after the budget committee meets.
Okay.
That would be my recommendation.
So it looks like the 14,500, it's still not an episode about us. They're just sponsorships to their episodes that they choose.
Yeah, essentially, it looks like the pool would be sponsoring an episode. And so there's different tiers. I wonder if there's a way to ask if you could sponsor your own episode?
I mean, they do make clips for our company. Does that mean that they do? I think there's a lot of unanswered questions. But questions that can't be answered today.
That's my. The free clips.
Do we have any discussion about that?
I think we should talking about what we can afford after you guys. Appropriate.
Action item update.
Do you have any questions about any items? Mr. Ream and I are still playing contact.
Under the 222-24, I'm just scratching the legal definition of sure. I'm not doing.
Scratch it out?
Yep.
Okay.
Moving on to new business, ILA for the city of Republic public auction.
Can I ask a question? There was some, I thought, discussion that you guys wanted to have about putting like an automatic due date on the action items, but I'm not sure if that's still a discussion you guys wanted to have. That's why I presented the action items.
I mean, I would like to have some sort of standard so we know that what we're looking at. Sorry. Just so we don't have things kind of hanging around.
I don't generally let action items go hanging around. We try to get to them as quick as we can.
So I guess there's an action item in February. Is that still in process?
The baseball club?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was from Commissioner Chargois. And so when he left the board, I just kind of put it on the back burner for now because originally before he did that, the plan was just to kind of wait and shake out to see what happened for the rest of the year. And so we thought that it didn't make sense to go into a contract for such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
So I just haven't gotten new direction on it.
Yeah.
So to know, because they're almost at the end of their season right now.
Right.
So it makes more sense for me to do this for next year.
Yeah.
In the new cycle, depending on.
But it's not mentioned that I recently brought this back up. And that I've had a conversation with the baseball team. I did email you guys about it. So the baseball team, what this was coming from was, how do we monetize baseball from the commissioners? I didn't know any conversations that happened with the baseball team, but when I went to one of their games, they approached me about a contract for long-term usage of the ballpark. And their initial presentation to me was $100 per kid that participates straight to the district. So now, we just kind of have to hash that out. But
So that's
Well,
bidding and
Yeah.
let that happen.
So I wonder if then, just to move back 2 steps to the reason why it's on the agenda, if a more appropriate action, instead of imposing due dates on action items, we maybe have a cyclical update. So since action items is always on the agenda, maybe there's a monthly update on action items still in process. That way it doesn't look like there's no movement or no notes on something from 5 months ago. And I think that'll address that, what feels like stagnancy and no movement, it turns it into, here's progress. So we're it's just a steps, like we're just doing the cyclical process until like we're closing the loop, right? So, I think that would be an appropriate, recommendation for a policy, right? Yeah. I think that when the bylaw committee meets, we can work out something, for presentation, so I guess we're just gonna go back to be continued. Okay.
I gotta like the city of Recovery Public Option.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
All righty, so this one here, it's to dispose of surplus, it's to dispose of district property. I'm not sure if it's surplus versus district property. Dispose of district property, we must go through a public auction. The city typically holds an auction once a year, but none have happened since COVID-19. This interlocal agreement allows us to be included in the city's upcoming auction. The main thing we would be auctioning off is a 2000 Astro van that has a window shot out of it and the driver's side quarter panel all mangled and a suspension that gives the death rattle going. I can't imagine it's worth more than about $1,000. There might be some older canoes, so not bad that we might consider sending that way. I haven't seen them touch these particular ones. I haven't seen touched in 6 years. That would be the main things going to the auction, would be those few things that are just sitting out back.
When does this happen?
Is that in September?
Mhm.
In September.
So. I must have it in the packet. I'm going to try and send it to you.
Think of the profit from those items, go back to the district.
It does. There's some certain stuff that their auctioneer gets, and I think that might be my LA, isn't it? It's weird. It's not in there, but it's,
Or is it something? Does this already exist or is it new? Like,
it's not something that's been done there in my RJ's time. It's the district that has done it with them in the past.
They used to do it once a year, and then with COVID, they stopped doing it. So this will be the first one back since COVID.
I think what David is alluding to is, do we need to establish a new ILA?
They sent it to us for it.
okay,
Okay.
so this is like every time they do an auction, we're gonna do it by new way. I like. Got it.
That would be my assumption.
Moving forward. One done. It's been about 4 or 5 years, and we might not have a month to offer next year.
Exactly.
It sounds good in theory. So it's in September. When do we have to respond?
I was gonna send it to her after this meeting, so I'm frustrated at the moment because my computer is not. So in order to do the packet, I had to download all 72 pages of it to then put it into Adobe. And apparently I missed a page.
Is it- is it-
Or,
Oh.
Here, I got 72 pages. I didn't
We just have our own.
get to the share. So here. It was it's in the folder, but when I add the name to send it to you guys from Share Drive. Do not respond to this email. Okay. You can review them on your phones. That would be helpful, or I can read it out loud to you if you prefer.
How long?
We got the two on hops.
Expected.
Just listen.
The whole time I was downloading the packet, I was texting with detail. And I'm like, if I have to do this, you have to be tortured with me complaining to you about this process. Melissa, do you know if I minimize this, will it minimize it for the users if they use it? Any of these say SharePoint?
That one will open your, so the three dots, I think, opens your files. No, that is your files. So if it's in, there you go.
Yeah.
Nope, no problem.
Onto the,
Oh, I was just keeping it there.
Yeah.
This is from. Yeah.
Okay, I can put it on screen.
Scroll.
We're paying the 10% twice.
What?
So Carver's gonna pay the 10% seller's commission to the auctioneer. The other one, it says. The agency will pay the 10% seller's commission to the auctioneer, so they get paid twice. And we're gonna reimburse the Carver for half of the total contract cost of the auctioneer.
Which numbers are you on?
So for every $100, so it's.
I understood that it was going to, that they were going to pay it, but they would take our, like if it was our sale, 10% of our sale would then, Oak Harbor would collect it, and then they would pay it out to the auctioneer. We'll pay a 10% seller's commission to the auctioneer based on the gross total of the surplus property originally belonging to the project. The sale of the event, project shall reimburse.
So based on this, it looks like the auctioneer's getting paid twice.
What stops us from filling our own stuff?
The last time the district did it, you were there. How much did the kayaks cost to do?
Don't remember an exact number off the top of my head. I know that we had to publish legal notices and the agreement had to be reviewed by legal counsel and it ended up being
It was really expensive.
When they did the silent auction.
expensive and tedious.
Is this an annual thing or is this?
We don't have to do it this year. We can
Yeah.
hold on to it and then in the future, look at it again.
I think we're a little crunched for time right now.
Waste.
There's definitely a discrepancy right there.
Is,
And we have, we need time to read the document.
In the meantime, we're able to just go over that Astro van
I sure hope so.
for like we do use them. So they'll
Oh,
have
we-
liability.
We actually had somebody who wanted to come in and buy it, which was funny.
Oh.
So the Astrovan apparently is one of those vehicles that people rehab into,
The living,
what's, yes,
yeah.
they're very popular for it. But it's locked up in our backyard, so it's not like,
So,
if
yeah,
somebody broke in, we would trespass.
my follow-up question to that is, are we hurting the space?
Not really, it just makes it look a little bit like the clamp that's up there or something. I mean, the windows shot out of it.
But I can tell you, it was a lot worse 4.5 years ago.
Oh, so much worse. There, for the same process, there was 3 or 4 vehicles there and they were in the way of the road getting done. It's like, okay, this stuff has to go.
So if we're not in that position, then I think that we could do the leading. We also, I mean, do you know when in September this option?
Don't recall.
It's probably like, because we might be able to look at this again during the August meeting. Let's say what for now and look at it during August, give us a month to look at that, but.
What is in the city one? Similar.
And the school district, for instance, they've been putting all of their stuff. I was annoyed because they're trying to get a list from them, they put it on there, but they've been putting all their stuff on some national website thing, all their equipment to move it. And you know, maybe something like that makes more sense too.
Yeah.
Some public auction thing that the school just sends all their stuff to now.
Yeah.
So we could reach out to them and see what that is.
so also a consideration, if we can get the wording changed to where it's clear, I would see an issue in signing the agreement, and if we don't participate, we just don't participate.
Yeah, 'cause
Except that we have to make part of the agreement.
Oh,
The participating agency shall reimburse over 1/2 of the total contract cost for procurement and their option.
so there's the cost, just fine. Never mind.
They do not have the date of it on
okay,
their website. I'm on their surplus.
yeah, no, I'd say we table it, and if by the time we meet again in August, it's too late to participate, then, whoa, we're in the same position. Table the item? I don't think there needs to be a motion to table the item.
No motion.
But we could do
Very valid.
it, so you can get, find out the information.
Yeah.
Yeah. About another alternative.
That's a great idea. I say that we move forward with that one.
I didn't hear it.
So, making it an action item for Shane to figure out how the schools are disposing of their,
Items.
yeah.
So I'll do that.
There's the,
I have to, that reminds me, I have to email Brian about something else, a safety concern at a Hillcrest that Legend found. So I will send him an email tonight, actually.
and then we can just keep the ILA on the agenda for next month.
Any motions? Moving on to website discussion. There's no page. Discussion, what's on it? When is on it? That stuff.
Do we have a contract with somebody who If you just hit that, it's that little, it makes the full screen again, the arrows down.
I didn't know if you wanted me to pull up the website.
Oh, I was gonna call it on my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
So when no, we pay GoDaddy, which what, 192 a year, somewhere around there, 186.
So we maintain it.
Yeah, between everything, between 250 maybe.
The cheapest one that I was able to find when I tried to source it out a couple of years ago was $75 per month, which is obviously way more than what we pay now. So we, at the time, the board just decided to stay with this, but when I first started, it was literally just one page. So when I laid it out as we did, this is how we got to it. And we did make a presentation to the board, and this was what they preferred at the time. So the homepage, we try to just keep it, pictures. Recently, the schedule got here. I tried to go, so best operating usually for websites is within 2 clicks is what I was trying to keep everything to. But we had a commissioner that didn't even want to click into and so now, the reason I keep this here is because once upon a time, somebody told us we'd never be able to fix the roof. And so this was just to be like, well, yes, we did. And then, so then we have all of our pool information. If there's a particular page you want me to pull up. Then we do our recreation and our volunteers. So summer day camp, youth flag football's up here. It also has the volunteer link at the bottom of the page that takes you to our volunteer application, our policy. And so sometimes we release information. So we'll put like the teams listed on here, and then we can do it to where we set it up where it's backdoor, where it's still there, and we can give the link to like the coaches, so the coaches can go easily and get their teams, which was really helpful. Like when we first started doing recreation, we don't really do it that way anymore because we have a better registration system now, so we can communicate easier. Clover Valley Park, just the ability to, these were stock pictures. And then our About Us. Our commissioners meeting date, sorry, I'm seeing a glare, so I'm moving around the glare. Meeting dates and agendas, and join our team. I don't think I've changed any of these headings probably since when the board created it. And I don't think the one thing that we've changed, that's a big change to this, is we didn't used to put the agenda on the page like it is now. We used to just start this page right here. And so then what we do, because we have to archive all this. And so once we have a couple of years, what we'll do is we'll move this page into the background, and then we'll just create a link. So if you go here, and I think we'll do it because each page only holds so many at a time. When you get to wow, so the previous agenda packets and minutes then takes you to the archive pages that we still have in here, but they're not laid out like this anymore. So at the end of this year, we'll do the same thing with this, and then we'll change this title. Oh, I see what you're saying, like but so if you go back into it, there are no packets on there.
That's where that all came from. It was like, well, when did it change and why did it change?
Well, and until I scrolled down to see this, I didn't even see that.
Yeah.
I didn't, because I was like, where is she getting that from? Because literally I had just put it for that May packet. So that's where I thought you meant it as.
So you said that you started putting the packets up there.
Yeah, remember when you directed me in May to start doing that, I think.
I see one packet. Okay.
So yeah. So here. Agenda packet. agenda up here. The minutes aren't up here now because we have to have them attested. That's something new. This year, we didn't know that before. And so that's why I brought them back to get your signature, because I used to just put them up with draft and then remove the watermark. That was easy because you could just slip that into Adobe. But now I can't do it as quickly. So when we would post the agenda, we post the minutes in draft form and then just remove that. Now there's a little bit more process because now we have to scan the attests one to put them up there. So, because that's where, the reason we keep them like this is where the, like, when we're being audited, this is where they go to look for all that stuff. So,
So, and about, the layout, I'm wondering how easy is it to change the layout of like the agenda packets? I think it would be beneficial to list the most recent meetings on top. That's why I'm asking.
oh, you
It's
mean
that,
to,
like,
to me,
like thing that you're talking about. So instead of it starting with January, have the latest meeting on top and then it go down in descending order from December to January essentially. So each new meeting is on the top. So if somebody wants to come in and look at May's meeting, they don't have to scroll halfway down the page to look for May. Well, I guess at this point they would, but you see what I'm saying, you know?
so we use this as a way of also listing all the meetings out so that people knew when they were coming up. So that's why they're listed chronologically.
Okay.
Because typically, I see what you're saying. If they're just going for the record, it'd be easiest to go. But it's also a notification. So that's why the board, like, well, and I don't know if that was a board decision because that's how you lined it out before. But
But yeah,
so-
no, I see, because as you keep scrolling down, like if you get to August, then it's, you know, there's no links, it's just black. So it's already, it's kind of a plug and play. So you develop this at the first of the year and then it's, yeah, okay.
You probably could reverse it and just have the most recent one at the top and then slide it back in chronological after the meeting passed. If you wanted to move it to the top to be easier.
yeah, I'm not gonna lie, some of it is done this way because it's quick, you know, it's dirty, like.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want it to be a heavy lift. If it adds too much time, you know, if it's a 5-minute process now and it becomes a 15-minute process to move it back down the list, I don't want to do that. That's just not a wise use of your time.
Fortunately, one of my tasks is not me.
Yeah.
I've got a lot, you know, I just have a handful of everything else that pull obviously. What do all the county workers think of go down versus a civic class? Yeah, do you like civic class? No, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't think that there's a happy solution, you know, our transition to civic is ideal.
Same with the city, but
Yeah, so I know that our IT guys spent months and months and months just trying to.
Kevin probably doesn't have any hair left.
No, you know, he's
You want a
lost it.
suggestion on a way to kind of find a medium or happy medium there? Still do that. Switch up, but, and then just make a separate section right at the top for upcoming meetings. And only make it one line, just don't put the links and everything in there yet, just put the upcoming meetings and then you just have Monday, October 14, 24, Thursday, October 24th. I'm sorry, I'm reading.
Yeah.
Eyes are not happening right now. But nothing, don't put the links until it's time to put the links in. It's just a suggestion. I think I fixed the same thing when I started looking at it. I'm like, this is weird going on with it. But I actually know why you do it.
Yeah. And I just want to keep the process like easier. Yeah, I like that idea of just having, so how do you like it? Do you like having the full?
Well, so I work in city government, so I was one of those people that implemented Civic Plus and I had a great experience with it. So I'm sad that they're having such a bad experience because mine was completely opposite. But they have like a whole agenda part of Civic Plus, right? That has that whole civic agenda center.
Mhm.
And so I think they do. I don't know, I think,
It's gonna
I
be.
think I could make the change, it'll be better for me to make the change in January, I don't wanna go redo work, right? But I can easily make the change and set it up differently, if that's not an issue with me, I mean, when we laid all this out, it was 2 weeks, we laid it out, we did it how,
Yeah,
so yeah, it doesn't, I can make anything work in the future.
I think for, my biggest suggestion, I think for right now, is instead of posting the agenda packet underneath, just do, so public notice, regular meeting, here's the link, and then that's it.
So this was actually directed for us to start putting here,
You have to have the agenda packet.
that's what the board said.
Oh,
So this was actually, was it I don't remember which one, but this was a board decision.
I don't know, I feel like it takes away from
That's
that
what
two
we-
click thing. Yeah.
Also, the link is broken.
This link right here?
Yeah, because it doesn't fully encompass the link.
Yeah.
It's just garbled.
The boards can change their mind, right?
You can open it in P.
It'll, if you click on open
No, it's
Microsoft
not
Teams,
using the whole thing.
Yeah. it'll tell you that you're already in the meeting, if you're already in the correct meeting. I don't
Just
know.
let me back up.
Yeah,
Yeah, so your users, your external users would have to go in and copy the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then translate it to Teams.
So this came about because the agenda was getting changed so often.
Mhm.
And so the idea was that we would just change the agenda here, and then the link to this would remain the same. And so if the agenda changed, it would just change on here, and then the board would get the updated one at the time. So I know it was during Amanda's tenure with us, but I don't remember, like, do you remember?
It was just before I started reading again, so it's been a little while.
But we didn't used to always put them there.
Yeah, this
Is
has
it-
been a conversation.
Is it a requirement to have, like, when you scroll down to 2023? Is it a requirement to have all of those still posted?
So what we're trying to do is for public records request, if we already have it here, we can just point people to it. We don't have to then go through the process of pulling it up and then sending it to them. We can just say, oh, that's already on this thing. So anything we give in a public meeting, we typically do the short version of it here. If you look at,
Well, just if you scroll all the way down to the end of the
We have all of 2023 still listed.
Yeah, well,
in
I
the archive.
wanted to suggest that if you went all the way to the end, right? You know how
Because
previous
there's
agendas
2022.
or packet, if we're able to do 2022, you know, hyperlink to that page and then 2023, then I don't have to scroll all the way down. Does that make sense? Then we can also do that for 2024, and that would also prompt the next meeting.
Yeah, so I think what Jamie is saying is having that archive link and then having a 2021 link and a 2022 link.
Then instead of
Crazy.
scrolling all the way
So
down.
that you have different subpages, right? So different arms of this page. And then you have the most recent one listed on this page. And then,
So like 2024 would have January through June already there. July is what your, July through December would be your remaining upcoming. I would just, it would make the pages smaller.
yeah. I'm just, maybe we're too.
I mean, I'm looking for something specifically, and I know that we've done this in previous meetings for like, please look at this agenda and figure out what year it was. For me, instead of scrolling all the way down, like, we just thought how many years. I could just go to 2021, go to those. That way. It just looks cleaner.
yeah, whatever you guys want, just tell me how you'd like it, and for 2024, we'll set it up that way.
I mean,
I like
Or
the agenda
2025.
on the page.
Yeah, I don't want,
Agenda.
yeah,
Wait,
I don't like the agenda on the page. You can make a separate page for it, but not taking up that, occupying that space on
right.
the sub-main page.
Yeah, and I would really prefer like join the meeting here. Like you click here and you turn here into the hyperlink. Yeah, it just cleans it up so much better. I'm happy to help with that. I don't want you to have to feel like you have to do this all by yourself either, so, do we want to compile all of our suggestions into one place, and then Jay, you and I can set up a meeting? I've never used GoDaddy, but it's built.
If you guys just tell me like how you want it laid out, it's easy for me to go do.
Unless we put it into yours, make it simple, hyperlink here.
I'll print it and write out I'll print it in a PDF and write out all of our suggestions in a comment, right? And then send it to the board so that if I miss anything, they can make their comments right on that PDF, and then I'll send it to you. And then in that PDF, you can just mark tasks as complete and then figure it out.
My only other suggestion outside of this is on the homepage. As of me being a user for it. I would like the option that when you click on the schedule, it opens as a PDF so I can print it from my computer.
I believe it does that from the schedule page. It used to.
Oh, wait, sorry.
Yeah, I see
But
it. Every
where-
time I click on the thing, it goes back to.
Just turn the picture into the link.
Well, it used
For me, I
to,
just like to. I usually screenshot it and then I air print it.
it used to be right here that you could download it. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure where it went.
Well, goes to Civic, right?
It goes straight to Civic Rec to register.
Yeah, it says somebody changed that link.
Yeah,
Not me,
because if
'cause-
you go back to it, it says schedule is loading, thank you for your patience. I
Yeah.
wonder if that's where it is.
No, because this is what didn't used to load very quickly. And so, but somebody's changed this link to the Civic Rec page. I don't know why. But, Julie can fix that, right?
I like that.
Huh?
I like that. That teal color?
The algorithm did a good job on that one. I like it. They're pretty color.
Is it not the same color on all the other pages?
No.
The pea green.
Oh, yeah.
Well, cause, yeah, Civic Rec is not, it's a different
Yeah,
app.
it's a- yeah.
I mean, if you guys,
I like both.
one of the things that we talked about at one point was branding, right? Coming up with a color. But from board to board to board, it keeps changing about who wants what color. And I think, so that's where we're like, so that's why we went with this, because this was a local
So
photographer.
we're gonna put standing rules that this is the official color.
Well,
This is going bylaws.
well, when we were trying to brand, right?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it needs to be branded. It needs to stay the same
Yeah.
forever.
That was some difficulty there for a little bit. So I would say we can revisit that, because I know that's something Julie's really wanted to get in place about what those colors could look like.
Yeah.
But frankly, knowing at the time we were going towards where we were once upon a time heading, it didn't make sense to go through that effort.
Do you
So
feel like Civic Plus better than GoDaddy?
Yes. that is-
this
I
one,
know that's what you said.
so this one's down to dirty, right? So can I show you?
Let me ask you before you do that. What's the cost differential?
Oh, Civic Plus is a penny.
So we're gonna keep GoDaddy in? Okay.
It's down and dirty, but it gets the job done.
But we can pick colors and styles.
We can pick themes.
Themes, we can pick themes.
So Julie could probably figure out what themes are on GoDaddy and give you guys a choice of those themes.
We can
Sounds
play
like
with,
an
we
action
can play with some samples.
The whole reason we're not .gov, right, is because that's like $500 a year to be a .gov. That's why we're .org.
Would we be considered a .gov though?
Yeah, we're a local government. But so the last Civic Plus website I did, and I don't know who's manning it anymore. It might not even be the same anymore. Oh, yeah. It's a little bit, yeah.
When you say it's a pain, what are we talking about?
Apparently David is intrigued.
Oh, I am. I always have. I have been.
Yeah.
Julie's gonna get you.
I want to know, what ballpark are we talking about?
What do you mean? The price?
Yeah,
God, I don't, this was 2016.
so can I make a suggestion for
I can
an
get
action
a
item?
quote from you.
Yeah, can you get a quote for building webpage through Civic Plus? And then also for Julie to look at different color packages and go just for the intro.
Different themes.
Yeah.
Because it comes up with themes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if you have a theme, can you update the CSS?
That's why you guys like the wrong goes on.
I'm a little bit of a nerd.
On a side note, I helped annex that property into the town.
Girl colors.
Sorry, I'm gonna show this. So, this catalog Civic Rec is an offshoot of Civic Plus, of the Civic.
But that's not a full-blown website. That's a
That's just a.
limited app, right?
Yeah, well, it's a registration system.
But what I guess
And-
what I'm saying is they don't give you the option to make extra pages. Or do they?
No, because it's not a website, it's like an Amazon, but for park and rec programs.
I can add tabs to it, like do
So,
the
like-
catalog,
These are tabs.
Yep.
This is a tab, that's a tab.
but I can't
That's
add
tab.
full pages.
Do you feel like they purposely moved that to work better? I
Yeah.
think they did it on purpose.
Yeah.
That's
I think they did it on purpose. It acts kind of buggy.
makes absolute sense to do that.
I actually know who to call too. I got to go to what they call their Civic Summit. And that's basically because we were one of the first people to sign on to Civic Plus. And so, and then that was at the town of Kersey. And then when I was at Anthem, we implemented Civic Rec. And so I know a lot of the users because I was able to go to all of that, or a lot of the administration because I was able to go to all that. Not that we'll get a better price because they're kind of popular now. It was better pricing when nobody really knew who they were. But yeah, I will, it's on the task guidance.
I mean, I would say having a great user-friendly product is a good thing, but we have to get the return. And it's, I've heard mixed reviews on the website. Some people love it, some people hate it.
I can tell you when, because the website you're talking about is Island Counties, right? Yeah, I don't, I don't like it. I don't think it was a good implementation, but that's not necessarily like, to do the one that I did, I worked night and day with those people.
I
So,
think that the reason why the implementation wasn't your experience was because our IT guy didn't have that. He wasn't able to have that
yeah,
with the same people. Like he was specifically slated as PIO for the COVID team, and then the COVID team dissolved and he interviewed for it and was accepted for the communications position that he's in now. And that was a month prior to full implementation. So he didn't have the experience, and it was other people, I think it was like supervisors and managers that were working with the implementation people. So yeah, I just think that the whole experience at the county was different, as if it could have been from start to finish.
yeah, like our implementation process was a year. I literally picked out every single icon, every single picture, and so, there was only 2 of us that were making the decisions and 2 of us that were doing the discussions.
Yeah, so
And
I think the biggest thing was that all those decisions had been made, and then Kevin's job was to go in and clean it all.
Well, it's
Yeah,
wild, so you look at ours and you be tell from a mile away to go to the website. You look at Island counties and City of Harbors and you know, because it's still got the generic Civic Plus icons.
Yeah.
I would have never guessed that the Kersey one was even Civic Plus. That's wild.
Well, and you have to really know what you're looking for. So one of the things that I did, and we can do that as part of our process, is we asked our city council, we gave them a list of all the websites we wanted them to check out. And we said, what ones do you like the best? And then what do you like the best of those?
that increases access for constituents to go in, and, you know, it just makes it an easier, more user-friendly process for folks using. So even though it is a substantial cost to change platforms, it might be something we're exploring, after levy. We'll open first.
I'm not sure if this is due to a change to Civic Plus. Because I'm not sure of all of their capabilities. Jay might be able to better answer it. But I do know of one local website that, for another Park and Rec district, that I would visit it to just see what they were doing for their special events and whatnot, down in the Seattle area. And they would have these beautiful, bright, colorful promotional material for their events. They switched to a Civic Plus based website and all of that went away. It is now generic and boring. So whatever we go with and are looking at, I would want to make sure we avoid that because
Yeah.
it's now such a disappointment that I don't even try to see what they're doing.
It can still be done. And you can actually come off of their hosting and do it yourself as well.
Mhm.
You have, there's a lot more things. I'm just not a fan of their hosting.
Anything else? Right, moving on to minutes for June 5th, 2024.
They were in your packet. I just didn't put the title on the agenda, so they can't be in the consent agenda because you have to, the consent agenda needed to say what was being.
All in favor, say aye.
Okay.
Yeah, where are they?
Just
I don't know where they are. I looked in the back, they're not
To that, did they give them back?
Okay. Ours.
I think I gave Commissioner Whitmer, Commissioner Hartman's name tag to take to her at the chamber luncheon last night.
No, we're talking about the table placards, yeah.
Oh, those.
New business D.
I mean, when, did you put both dates in it?
No, we're on to the third.
Right, minutes from June 27th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Put it into executive session. Commissioners on the pager also former commissioners. Yeah, so
I am going to stop the record, or wait, I gotta wait. I guess.
No. So just turn it down and mute it.
She has to begin with a time first.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm saying you don't have to stop the recording, just leave it in the stone space. I think there's a way you can pause it.
The board is entering into executive session pursuant to RCW 42.30.110G to review the performance of a public employee for a period of 30 minutes until 7:11 p.m. 8:11 p.m. All right, the board is extending the executive session for a period of 15 minutes until 8:24 p.m. The board is extending executive session for a period of 20 minutes until 8:43 PM. Right. The board is extending the executive session for a period of 20 minutes until 8:59 PM. Calling the meeting back to order. I call a regular meeting back to order at 8:54 PM. All right, action item review.
Monthly update on action items, take baseball club to the program committee. Shane, please find out how the school are disposing of surplus items, get a website civic plus quote. Get, what Julie needs to provide the board with some website themes. Or color themes from the website. And
I think there was action item.
Committees to provide you with the dates and information.
Oh. Update 2024-02. All right, then out for us to sign tomorrow.
So that was floating around between you and Julie. Can somebody email?
Resolution.
Because Julie prepared last month's packet.
There's also another.
Hmm?
There's another action item for me to make comments for edits on the webpage and send that to you.
I only write down my action items,
Yeah.
like for the staff.
Yeah.
Make comment,
Which makes sense, but I think for accountability, I think all of our action items need to be on there.
no, it makes it, and Amanda put bricks on there before, I totally.
I still think there was another one, but I'll let them know for the minutes. When I get there.
Yeah, it's in your inbox, June 17th. I
Thank
can forward it to you. How are we gonna do this?
Now it came up. Got it.
And I have the wrong number in the title. I have 01. I didn't get 01 yet.
I used to live in my emails.
And I had,
Yeah.
Julie had, made one correction in it. There's one spot where it talks about 5 years. I was literally copying the former resolution. It actually says 6 years.
One more time. Wait, let me pull it open. Okay,
So this is the unedited one.
this says 2401 on the inside of it. I will look at the resolution numbers that we already have and go from there. Because the resolution number is based on like what we've already done, so 01,
When I
02.
wrote it, we hadn't done 24. So I put 2401,
Okay.
but it became 2402 because we passed 24.
Do you want me to put this in front of, let me warn you first. The attorney-client privilege that I sent to you, if you talk about anything specific in open meeting, you waive that. So be careful with your answers. Do you want me to send her the resolution based on some of her answers that she gave us about how the resolution is worded if some of the options were to take place in the future? Yes, okay, I can do that. She had some specific direction that she wanted to make sure that she looked at the ballot title and how. Okay. So I'm gonna send that to her tomorrow.
However,
I can let her know. I will give her a deadline of August 3rd if that works for her.
I'll just drag over there to sign it, and then when she reviews, we just. So this, I mean verbatim, word for word, it is exactly the same resolution we passed in.
Be aware that, I don't know that it'll happen, but I just want to make you aware because you weren't here for that when it happened. Greg Banks has the ultimate authority of how the ballots are written, so he can change it if he wants to. I found it very good to work with personally.
I think he's lovely.
Yeah.
I think through our process, I think he was pretty great and straightforward.
I did too.
But I just like calling him things. Board comment? Right, next meeting, Thursday, August 22nd, 2024, 6 p.m. at the Oak Harbor Chamber of Commerce. Motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye.